All right, let's dive into the world of specialist biomedical scientists, getting you ready for that interview. We're talking high-tech labs, figuring out diseases, working alongside doctors, leading the way in stuff like genomics, hematology, diabetes research.
It's a career with a ton of potential, but that interview is the first step.
Exactly. And that's what we're tackling today. We're going to use RoleCatcher's career guide and interview module, not just to understand the questions, but what they really want to see in your answers.
No generic advice here. We're going deep on specific questions, specific strategies. You'll walk out feeling ready to show them your best. And of course, we'll sprinkle in some insights about what this job actually involves day to day.
Love it. So how about a question that pops up early on? Describe your experience with laboratory equipment and instruments. Now, they're not expecting you to know every single piece of equipment.
Right, but they're looking for that solid understanding of the basics and how you've actually used them.
So instead of just listing off instruments, bring those experiences to life. Imagine they ask about spectrophotometry. Don't just say, I'm proficient.
You got to go deeper.
Exactly. Say something like, in my research on bacterial growth, I used a spectrophotometer to measure the culture's optical density, at different times. That helped us track growth and see how well different antibiotics were working.
Perfect. You're not just saying a skill, you're showing you understand how it's used in a real situation and tailor it to the job description.
Oh, that's where RoleCatcher's AI comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It analyzes the description to see what skills they're really emphasizing. Helps you pick the best examples from your own experience.
So smart. So what if they follow up and ask about a time you had a problem with a specific instrument?
The problem-solving question. This is where they want to see how you think on your feet.
Share an example, maybe an instrument malfunction, unexpected readings. Walk them through it. How'd you identify the issue, troubleshoot it, and ultimately fix it? Did you use the manual, ask a colleague, or come up with a workaround?
It's all about that initiative, that critical thinking under pressure. It shows you're dedicated to getting accurate, reliable results.
Couldn't agree more. Now, another common one. What experience do you have with analyzing biological samples? Seems straightforward.
But they're looking for more than just a yes.
Exactly. This is where you flaunt your specialized knowledge. Instead of just saying, I've analyzed blood samples, get specific. Like, during my time in the hematology lab, I analyzed blood to figure out complete blood counts, run coagulation tests, and spot anything weird with the blood cell's shape.
Awesome. You can even mention specific techniques. Flow cytometry, ELISA, shows them how deep your understanding goes.
What if you're fresh out of school, don't have tons of hands-on experience with specific sample types?
Don't panic. Use coursework, research projects. You could say, my clinical blood sample experience is limited, but in my cancer cell research, I analyzed tissue samples extensively. Use techniques like immunohistochemistry and Western blotting to figure out protein expression and potential drug targets.
Linking that academic experience to what the job needs shows you've got the foundation and you're eager to apply it. What kind of follow-up questions do you think they'd have on this?
Maybe they'll dig into the steps you took to be super accurate and reliable in your analysis, like quality control, troubleshooting.
They might even ask about data interpretation, which leads us perfectly to our next question.
Yeah.
But hold on, before we go there,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you anticipate those follow-ups. By analyzing the job description, it finds keywords that hint at what they're really after.
So you can prepare those thoughtful responses,
Yeah.
really showing off your qualification.
Exactly. No more guessing games. All right, now that next question. Describe your experience with quality control and assurance in a laboratory setting. It might not sound as exciting as cutting-edge techniques, but...
In biomedical science, accuracy is everything. A wrong diagnosis, an inaccurate test result, that can have serious consequences for patients. They need to know you're careful, committed to quality.
So don't just say, I followed procedures. Talk about specific protocols you used. Control samples, proficiency testing, calibrating instruments.
Even situations where you found and fixed a quality control issue shows your attention to detail and that commitment to getting reliable results.
Exactly. For example, you could say, in my last role, I did daily quality checks on the hematology analyzer. One day, the control values were way off. I investigated, checked the troubleshooting guide, and found a problem with the reagent, reported it, took corrective action, made sure all the results after that were accurate.
Perfect. Shows you understand quality control and how to proactively solve problems, putting patient safety first. Now, what if they flip it and ask about a time a quality control issue was missed? How do you approach that?
Ooh, good one. I think honesty and transparency are key here.
You could say, I aim for perfection, but mistakes happen. In my last role, we missed an issue, and it delayed patient results. That highlighted how important documentation and communication are. We made stricter protocols, making sure all quality control data was recorded and checked by multiple people, really reduced the risk of errors happening again.
Turning a potentially negative situation into a positive shows your growth mindset and your problem-solving skills. Ready for the next challenge?
Hit me with it.
All right, let's explore those interpersonal skills. What experience do you have working with medical staff and other healthcare professionals? It's more than just being a team player.
They want to know you can communicate, collaborate in a fast-paced environment where the stakes are high.
This is your chance to showcase those soft skills that are just as important as the technical stuff. Think of times you had to explain complex science clearly and simply, maybe to people who don't have a science background.
Like presenting research to doctors, explaining lab results to nurses,
Show them you can adapt your communication style while staying accurate and professional.
or even working with other lab folks to solve a tough problem or meet a crazy deadline. Proves you can be a valuable part of the healthcare team.
Now, what if they ask about a time you had a conflict with a colleague or another healthcare professional? How do you handle that?
It can catch people off guard. I think it's about staying positive, focusing on solutions. Don't dwell on the conflict itself, but what you did to fix it.
For example, you could say, at my last lab, I disagreed with a coworker about some data. We both had strong opinions, but we talked it out, reviewed the data together, even got input from a senior scientist. That taught me the importance of clear communication, really listening, and considering different viewpoints.
Taking a potentially negative experience and showing how it made you a better communicator, a better problem solver, shows maturity too, being able to handle tough situations with other people.
Couldn't agree more. Now let's switch gears a bit. A question that often trips people up. Describe your experience with data analysis and interpretation. They don't just want a list of software or methods you know.
It's about showing you can take raw data, turn it into meaningful insights, and explain those findings clearly.
Think about projects or research where you had to analyze data, make sense of the results, and draw conclusions. Maybe you used SPSS or R to analyze patient data and find trends.
You could even talk about presenting your findings to researchers or clinicians. Shows you can communicate complex stuff in a way that's clear and engaging.
Don't forget any specialized techniques like bioinformatics for genomics or image analysis software for microscopy. Highlights your expertise in those areas, aligning with what the job needs.
So what follow-up questions might they ask about data analysis? I'm curious.
They might dig into the specific statistical methods you used, your reasoning, how you made sure your results were valid.
Might even challenge your interpretations or ask for alternative explanations for the trends you saw. This is where you really got to show those critical thinking skills.
Absolutely. You're showing them you can think deeply, defend your conclusions, and engage in a scientific discussion. And you know what can help? RoleCatcher. Their AI can analyze the job description, see what specific data analysis skills they mention.
And you can tailor your answers, highlighting what's most relevant. Their AI feedback can even help you refine how you present that experience.
Like having a personal coach guiding you. Now, let's shift to safety. Describe your experience with laboratory safety procedures and protocols. In biomedical science, safety is paramount. They gotta know you take it seriously.
And it's not just knowing the rules, it's about truly caring about a safe work environment for everyone. Think about specific protocols. Handling hazardous materials, wearing PPE, responding to emergencies.
You can even mention safety training or ways you helped improve safety at your previous labs.
For instance, you could say, in my last role, I managed the lab's chemicals, making sure everything was stored and disposed of properly. I even created a new safety checklist for our team, helping us catch potential hazards before they became problems.
Proactive. Shows initiative and dedication to a safe and efficient workplace. What follow-up questions do you think they might have about safety?
Maybe a specific safety challenge you faced, or how you'd handle a hypothetical scenario.
They might even ask about specific regulations or guidelines for biomedical labs. This is where you show your attention to detail and commitment to staying up to date on the latest safety practices.
So you're not just reciting rules from memory. You understand the why behind lab safety and how to apply it in real life. Ready for the next one?
Bring it on. Let's talk about organization and detail. What experience do you have with laboratory documentation and record keeping? Paperwork might not be the most thrilling part.
But accurate documentation is crucial. Ensures research integrity, keeps things compliant with regulations, helps provide top-notch patient care.
This is where those meticulous note-taking skills come in handy. Go beyond just saying, I'm good at keeping records. Give them specific examples. Detailed lab notebooks, accurate experimental data, reports that meet specific requirements.
You can even mention electronic lab notebooks, or LIMS, laboratory information management systems. Those are getting more and more common.
You could say something like, at my last job, I managed our LIMS database, recording sample info, tracking experiments, and making reports for quality control. I even set up a new system for labeling and archiving samples, which made tracking easier and reduced errors.
Shows you get it. Accurate, organized documentation is key. You can work with those specialized systems, and you're proactive about improving lab practices. Now, what about follow-ups on documentation? What could they ask?
Maybe they'll ask about challenges you faced, dealing with huge data sets, making sure everyone on the team is consistent.
They can even ask about audits or inspections. Shows you understand regulations and how to stay compliant.
Absolutely. Now, before we hit our final question for this part, I want to stress that RoleCatcher's AI can really help you tailor your answers to each job. It analyzes the job description, finds those keywords that tell you what they're really looking for.
And you can craft responses that highlight your best qualifications. It's like a secret weapon.
All right, ready for our last one?
Hit me.
Here we go. What experience do you have with laboratory management and supervision? This might seem like it's for more senior roles.
But even if you haven't officially been a manager, they're looking for signs that you could be a leader.
This is where you show you take initiative, you're organized, you can mentor others. Think about projects where you led a team, train newbies, organized events.
You could say, I haven't officially been a manager, but I've had chances to lead. In my last research project, I organized team meetings, assigned tasks, and made sure everyone was on track. I even mentored a new lab member, showing them the ropes with experiments and data analysis.
Highlighting those transferable skills. And mention any coursework or training in management or leadership. Shows you're serious about developing those skills and taking on more responsibility down the line. What follow-ups on leadership do you think they might ask?
Maybe a specific leadership challenge you tackled. How you motivated your team, how you dealt with conflict or difficult personalities.
They might even ask about your vision for leading a lab or a research team. Lets you show off your strategic thinking and your goals for the future.
It's all about showing that you could be a great leader in science. So we've covered a ton in this first part of our deep dive. We tackled those common, tricky interview questions, gave specific examples.
And we emphasized how important it is to tailor your answers to that specific job description.
But we're not done yet. In part 2, we'll dive into even more questions, talking about staying up to date with the latest in biomedical science, those strengths and weaknesses, and even salary expectations. Stay tuned.
We've got lots more to cover. Welcome back to our deep dive. We're all about acing that specialist biomedical scientist interview.
We're picking up right where we left off, giving you the tools and strategies to handle those tough questions.
Last time, we talked lab skills, teamwork, those all-important quality control procedures.
And of course, how RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon, analyzing job descriptions and giving you personalized feedback to tailor your answers and refine your delivery.
Now, how do you stay ahead of the curve in a field that's always changing? The question is, how you stay current with developments in biomedical science.
It's your chance to show that you're a lifelong learner, not just content with what you already know. Biomedical science is constantly pushing boundaries. They want to see that you're actively learning and keeping up.
Right. So don't just say, I read journals. Get specific. Name those publications. Like, I regularly read The Lancet and Nature Medicine to stay updated on clinical trials and new discoveries.
What about conferences and webinars? Attending those shows, you're engaged.
Absolutely. You could say, I recently went to the American Society of Hematology annual meeting, where I learned about the latest in, say, our T-cell therapy research.
And don't forget professional organizations. Being a member of groups like the American Association for Clinical Chemistry or the Institute of Biomedical Science shows you're serious about professional development.
It's that commitment to staying at the top of your game.
You could even mention online resources you use, PubMed, specific scientific blogs. The key is to show them you're active in the scientific community, always learning.
What if they follow up with, what's a recent development in biomedical science that you find particularly interesting?
This is where you get to geek out a little. Talk about a breakthrough or research area that truly excites you and explain why. CRISPR, personalized medicine. Let your passion shine through.
Be ready to discuss the implications too. How will this impact patient care? Change the future of research. It shows you're not just absorbing information, but thinking about the bigger picture.
It's that intellectual curiosity that sets you apart. And guess what? RoleCatcher can help here too. Their AI can analyze job descriptions and see which research areas or technologies are most relevant to the role.
So you can tailor your answer perfectly, highlighting your knowledge in those specific areas. It's like a cheat code for the interview.
All right, let's just gears to a question that's all about you. What are your greatest strengths and weaknesses as a biomedical scientist? This one can be tricky.
It's all about strategy. When you talk about your strengths, focus on qualities that directly relate to the job. Are you a problem solver? A creative thinker? Super organized? Give examples.
You could say, my greatest strength is my attention to detail. In my last role, I was responsible for validating new lab protocols, and I was always able to catch potential problems before they became big issues.
Perfect. Now, for weaknesses, pick something you're actively working on. Don't just say, I'm a perfectionist. That's cliche and doesn't tell them anything useful.
All right, choose a weakness that's relevant but not a deal breaker, and explain how you're addressing it. Like, I'm getting more comfortable with public speaking. I joined Toastmasters, and I'm looking for chances to present my research at conferences.
Shows you're self-aware, you take initiative, you want to improve. They're not looking for perfection. They want someone who's honest, eager to learn, and always growing.
What if they dig deeper and ask, can you give an example of a time when this weakness affected your work?
You need a specific story, but frame it positively, showing how you learned and grew. In a presentation, I got flustered by a tough question. I realized I needed to get better at thinking on my feet. So I've been practicing answering unexpected questions and staying calm under pressure.
Turning a negative into a positive, showing you're resilient. All right, now for the question everyone dreads. What are your salary expectations?
Do your research. RoleCatcher's Career Guide, websites like Glassdoor. See what's typical for this role in your area.
Then give a range, not a specific number. Based on my experience in research, I'm looking for a salary between X and Y. Shows you're informed, realistic, and leaves room for negotiation.
Be ready to explain your reasoning. Highlight your skills, your experience, any certifications that make you valuable. I believe my expertise in flow cytometry and experience managing complex research projects justify a salary at the higher end of that range.
What if they push back, especially if you're aiming high?
Be prepared to negotiate, but know your worth. If you're confident, stand your ground.
It's about finding that balance where both you and the employer feel good about the deal.
And guess what? RoleCatcher can even personalize your salary expectations based on the job description. Their AI looks at location, industry, required skills, gives you a tailored range.
So you can walk into that negotiation feeling prepared and empowered. All right, let's wrap up this part with a question that usually comes at the end. Do you have any questions for us?
This isn't just a formality. It's your chance to learn more, show you're interested, and see if this is the right fit for you.
So what kind of questions should we ask? Should we jump right to salary and vacation days?
Maybe hold off on the vacation days for now. Focus on questions that show you've done your homework and you're thinking critically.
Okay, what would impress them?
Ask about the team, the company's research goals, opportunities for professional development, even challenges they're facing in their field. What are the chances to collaborate within the lab and with other departments? Or what are the company's long-term goals for biomedical research?
Those are great. It shows you're not just looking for any job. You want a place to contribute, learn, and grow.
Plus, you get valuable insights into the company culture, the research environment, and potential career paths. It's a win-win.
So we've covered staying current, strengths and weaknesses, salary negotiations, even asking smart questions. This is great.
We've given you the tools and the confidence. Now go out there and rock that interview.
Absolutely. But we're not quite done yet. In part 3, we'll share some final tips to help you really shine in that interview room. Stay tuned for even more interview wisdom. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive on Specialist Biomedical Scientist interviews. We've covered a lot of ground, breaking down those tough questions, using the power of AI with RoleCatcher.
But before you walk into that interview, we've got a few more tips to make you really stand out. Consider this the finishing touch on your prep. Those little things that can make a big difference.
Those subtle things that can give you an edge.
One of those is the power of storytelling. You've got all this great experience, but how do you communicate it in a way that really grabs their attention?
How do you make them remember you?
Exactly. Instead of just saying, I'm good at cell culture techniques, tell them a story about a time you used those techniques to achieve something amazing.
Bring it to life.
Right. For example, you could say, during my research on a new anti-cancer drug, I was in charge of the cell lines for the study. We had a contamination problem that almost shut the whole thing down. But by using really strict procedures and monitoring those cultures carefully, I was able to isolate and get rid of the contamination. Saved weeks of research and made sure the project could continue.
Love it. You're not just listing a skill, you're showing them your problem-solving skills, your dedication to good research, how you handle challenges.
They get a glimpse into your work ethic, your passion. Stories are powerful. They create a picture, make you memorable.
Way more engaging than just a list of facts.
Yeah. Now, another thing is anticipating follow-up questions. Interviewers love to dig deeper, see how you think on your feet.
But how do you prepare for that? It's not like you know what they're going to ask.
True, but there are common themes. If you talk about a specific instrument, they might ask, tell me about a time it malfunctioned. What did you do? Or if you describe a successful project.
They might ask, what was the biggest hurdle and how did you overcome it?
By thinking through those possible follow-ups, you'll be ready with those thoughtful answers, showing your knowledge and quick thinking.
Like a chess game, thinking a few moves ahead. Now, something people often overlook is body language.
It makes a huge difference. Even with perfect answers, if you're slouching, not making eye contact, fidgeting, it sends the wrong message.
It's about showing confidence, enthusiasm that you're a professional,
Hmm.
all through how you sit, your gestures, your facial expressions.
Eye contact, good posture, try to relax. A genuine smile can make you seem approachable and likable.
I know that's tough when you're nervous, but practice helps. And guess what? RoleCatcher has something for that too.
Their AI video feedback is amazing. It's like having a coach analyze your body language, helping you catch those nervous habits you might not even notice.
So you can polish your performance and present your best self. Now, on to something that can really make an impact. Your questions.
Wait, we're supposed to ask them questions. I thought it was all about them interviewing us.
Right, but asking thoughtful questions at the end shows you're curious, engaged, really interested in the role in the company.
It's your chance to learn more and see if it's truly a good fit.
So what kind of questions should we ask? Can we ask about salary and vacation time?
Maybe hold off on the vacation time for now. Focus on questions that show you've done your research and you're thinking about the bigger picture.
Okay, what would impress them?
Ask about the team, the research priorities, professional development opportunities, even the challenges they're facing. You could ask, what are the opportunities for collaboration within the lab and with other departments? Or what are the company's long-term research goals?
Those are great. It shows you're not just looking for a paycheck, you want to be part of something bigger.
Exactly. It gives you insights into the company culture, the research environment, potential career paths, and they see you're serious. It's a win-win.
So we've talked about the questions, the storytelling, body language, asking smart questions. I'm feeling ready. Any final words of wisdom?
Preparation is key, but be yourself. Let your passion for biomedical science shine through. Show them your excitement, your curiosity, your dedication to this field.
That genuine passion makes all the difference.
And one last thing, take a deep breath, relax. You've got this.
You're ready to ace this. We've given you the knowledge, the strategies, and the confidence. Now go out there and show them what you're made of.
We're cheering you on.
And that wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating career and how to land that dream job.